It's really cool. So a few years ago, back, I think it was actually 2020, we decided they were like, you know what, we're obsessed with this idea of teamwork. So let's actually go out there and study it. So we actually have a team of researchers that have spent time over the last couple of years going out there and better understanding how teams are working. And one of those areas that we focused on was this idea of distributed work. It's a trend out there. It's, is it myth or is it fact? What's the thing impacting
This
how we
was
work?
pre-pandemic, was it?
So we started actually the year of, I believe we started collecting data right after, like as the pandemic was just started. And then we've run our second report last year. And then our third report actually just finished and it's going to be released here a little bit later this year.
Yeah, right.
And so we've got 3 years of data now that we're starting to see. So at this point, it's no longer an instance, it's now actually a trend that we can start kind of pointing to and saying, hey, we've got patterns.
Yeah, good.
And one of the most interesting things that kind of came out of this is we were fascinated by this. Like, hey, we made that statement back in mid 2020 that says, hey, you know what? We're going to be a distributed first company. Call it Team Anywhere. It's this idea that we're going to be out there. How, yes, we're making that decision. We think it's the right thing, but is it the right thing? Like, does it impact how teams are effective out there? And so we ran this survey to actually find out, like, how are teams doing? I mean, we called it the Team Health Index, which looked at everything from, things like the culture to the performance to the sustainability of a team. And we found that when you looked at maybe teams that are just in the office versus teams that are fully remote versus teams that are kind of in the middle, a little bit of mixed match, that hybrid area, that in the end, the office didn't actually make an impact in terms of making teams more or less effective. Teams generally stayed within the same range. I think it was roughly between 15 and 20%, about a 5% range of incredibly effective teams were versus. And actually, we found that hybrid was actually higher. It was the 20%, but again, it's not that much different.